My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast.
And I'm knucking excited.
Oh, you've been saving that one up, haven't you?
Yes.
So, we're back. And it's the Great Canadian Bake Off Series 2. And again, for those just listening for the first time and going, no, it's not, it's the Great Canadian Baking Show. Screw you.
It's the Great Canadian Bake Off.
It's the Great Canadian Bake Off, and it's not in a tent.
It's in a pavilion.
It's in a pavilion. So, again, if you haven't listened to us before, and many of you in Canada have, so hello, Canada.
No, it's hello, Canada.
Oh, here we go. The accents. This is something that Kristie does. Accents are not very good. Just a quick introduction to those who do not know who we are. We do the Great Australian Bake Off. We do the Great British Bake Off. We do MasterChef Australia. And now through...
And Eurovision.
And now through somewhat popular demand, the Great Canadian Bake Off. Now, the tricky part for us is that it's not shown in Australia.
No, it is not.
So what we do is we put out a call to the baking gods every day. And we ask...
I sacrifice to them. I sacrifice, cakes through my mouth to the gods.
And we wait for a sign.
I'm like, accept this cannoli in your honour.
And the ether...
And then I eat it.
And the ether draws a signal.
Yeah.
We don't quite know how it comes to us, but it miraculously comes to us.
We are gifted by the baking gods.
Today's came through a messenger.
Mm-hmm, it surely did.
It came through a messenger. Hello, Josh. And the next thing you know, the ether delivered us episode 1 of season 2.
Hail the baking gods.
Hail the baking gods.
They worked for Timothy tonight. He called all of them into his oven. Good work, Timothy.
So we're going to go through. We'll do our normal. We'll do a run through of who the bakers are for this series.
Yeah.
And then we'll run through episode 1, and we'll have a bit of a chat about it. We're also still, before we get into it, we're hoping possibly this weekend to have some further updates for you with regards to a few of those season 1 bakers.
Yes, because we did get it at the end of their season.
So,
I really hope the end of this season has Sadia is now blah, 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 blah.
Sadia is now making cakes to support their own weight.
Yeah.
And...
Poor Sadia. I felt for her. But we'll get to that, yeah.
We'll get to that. But we may possibly this weekend have a bit of a surprise podcast for you. We're still working on that, so stay tuned. So with that in mind, let's get on to episode 1, season 2 of the Great Canadian Bake Off.
In the pavilion.
In the pavilion. So let's run through the bakers to start with, shall we?
We shall.
So we have Andre, who is a software engineering consultant.
I just felt like it needed some...
Not quite, because there's a couple that are going to need something in a minute. So Andre is a software engineering consultant from Vancouver.
Indeed.
You poor bastard. I hope you're not a Canucks fan. Sorry, I'm a hockey person.
It might be made up because he's an X-Files fan.
Could be, because then it would be perfect because he could be there for the filming.
Yeah, I'm sure he was an extra.
And by the way, because most of the Australian people that I talk to don't get this, if anyone listening to this podcast is a Sens fan, I'm a Sharks fan. We have your captain. Anyway.
Like captive?
Yeah, we do.
In the locker room, you just got their captain captive?
That'd be fair. He was being held hostage by their owner originally. Anyway, moving on. Anne-Marie's going to have some moments this season.
Anne-Marie is like Jude's cousin.
She's an operations manager. And she's from Pickering, Ontario.
This doesn't surprise me because ops managers are always fucking together at work, and then I'm sure they're a complete awesome mess in the background.
So our next baker is also one of Australia's favourite luncheon meats. Devon.
Tomato sauce.
Devon.
Yes!
Now, one of your favourite luncheon meats growing up, not one of mine.
No.
But Devon, quite popular in Australia.
Which in South Australia it's called Fritz. Would you like me to explain it?
Not really.
I'm going to. Okay, so Devon is essentially
the meat, not the baker.
The meat is essentially, the hot dog insides. It's like that, but flattened, and it's like a bigger circle. So you just whack that on,
and it's a pinkish colour.
It's a pinkish colour, and it tastes fantastic on white bread with tomato sauce, which in Australia isn't like your Italian tomato sauce. It's essentially
sugar.
No,
a salt.
Less sweet ketchup and thinner ketchup. Yeah, ketchup.
That's okay. The ketchup won't bother you anymore. Now, what I love about Devon is a combination of all things to all people.
Yes.
Devon is a substitute teacher.
Yes.
Devon is a gravestone carver.
And it's a familial business.
And far more importantly... do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. 2, 3, and Regina! Experience Regina! Do, 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 do.
Devon's from Regina!
I am so pleased that
Thank
they
you.
continue to give us people from Regina, Saskatchewan. I'm so pleased. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Gift from the heavens. We continue to have things delivered to us through the ether.
My steadfast, dedication to consuming cakes on behalf of the baking gods.
It's worked beautifully. Thank you.
It's working, yeah.
All right, Megan is a hairstylist.
Yes. No. She's a goth farmer.
Oh, she's easy. Yeah.
It was beautiful because
was wonderful.
I made assumptions. I'm thinking, urban city chick girl, and it's like, no, it's just this pan to her in her at her farmstead with her beautiful husband and children, and it's like, oh my god, you're a goth farmer.
When they did the profile,
and I reckon all of her animals have to be black except for one in the herd that is pure white, because you've got to do that.
And they're all collared. What I found really funny though was if you didn't...
They're all pierced, even the fucking chickens.
Especially the
chickens.
There's lots of swearing, guys, too. Get ready for it. So what I really loved, by the way, with Megan was when they went... with Megan, it's Megan.
Megan.
It's Megan. What I really loved about that was when they kept on cutting back to her telling the story, and they're talking about at home, and she's like, at home I'm used to people clawing at me and being shot with Nerf guns. Now, before we knew she had 3 kids, I was picturing a large share house, and she was living with a lot of guys who were just Nerf gunning her in the mornings. And I thought that the little interstitial they do when they go to a house and she's there, the most famous one in Australian Bake Off for us, in Australian Bake Off history, was Olivia, the winner from a couple of years ago, just painting a door. Yes. I had the interstitial of Megan in my head, of her in bed of a morning and all these guys shooting her over a door frame.
Oh my God!
With Nerf guns. And she's like, go away, guys, I'm baking. And then
it's probably still the same scenario, except the guys are her children.
Yeah, the guys are much smaller and probably not over the top of the door.
No.
Then Mengling, who is a market research consultant from Toronto.
And he's just delightfully...
She's wonderful.
She is so eccentrically gorgeous, just excitable, and her concepts and her love of gold.
I know. It's wonderful. It's going to be great.
Yes.
By the end of this series, we could have some extravagant, overly garish things. We had a colour green tonight that was in itself amazing.
I was expecting it to start singing, it ain't easy being green.
Sachin. Now, Sachin is a dentist. Once again, he is the North American member
of the Sweet Tooth family. Sweet Tooth is the dentistry / baking outlet that is based off Australian Bake Off, because last series we had two dentists.
And we said
Emma
Sweet Tooth.
And Marcus.
Yes, hi Emma, hi Marcus.
Yes.
So Sachin is obviously the Great White North's answer to that.
And also his family, mad cricket fans, and he was named after Sachin Tendulkar.
Quite obviously. That is also the only cricket reference you will ever make.
I don't know.
About the depth of your cricket knowledge.
I might say Booney.
And Booney would be who?
And Warney.
The Canadians have no idea who these people are.
Booney was an Australian cricketer with a big moustache.
He was.
And they made a bobblehead of him that you could get for free with a case of beer at one point.
Yes, and the problem was they didn't actually turn them off, so they'd go off at all hours of the night. Sachin's from Halifax, Nova Scotia. Sadia is a homeschooling mum, and we need to mention that too. It's not just
that's a master's degree.
Yeah, okay, MBA. Right? Again, she's got an MBA. It's like, come on, she's
raising the next generation of CEOs. Her children
clearly
are going to be powerhouses of the capitalist structure.
And she's from Edmonton. Timothy.
Go Oilers.
Timothy is...
Look at me knowing shit.
Look at you knowing shit. Connor McDavid, all that stuff. Anyway, Timothy is an undergraduate student. He's 19. He's the baby of the group.
He's so young, but not as young as our youngest baker.
No, it's not. Undergrad from Edmonton again.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was Tim. Now, Tim officially is a hardware store assistant manager.
According to...
From Brockville. Now...
I've sold monorails
to Brockville, Ortonville and North Haverbrook, and by God, put them on the map. We have to get this out because He's gone. And he's from Brockville, Ontario. Now, Ontario for me is the giveaway there. You raised a point.
I went, is that Tim Horton?
And as I pointed out, he's very dead.
Yeah.
And would have been very old anyway. However,
Tim Horton Jr.
Tim Horton Jr.
And you look, he made, it was a bundt cake technically, but hello, it's a cake with a hole.
It was a donut.
It was a donut.
There was a subtle message there.
Yeah, we get it.
Subtle message.
Picked you out, Tim. We caught Terry Irwin in the last season.
We've caught Tim Horton Jr.
in this one.
And Wendy, Wendy is a senior policy analyst. Now, what I loved about Wendy, by the way, was on day one, Wendy actually had her hair like the Wendy's fast food mascot.
She did.
So she looked like an absolute perfect side-by-side replica of the Wendy's logo.
And then because of like the Anne of Green Gables reference that she did later on, I then saw her as Pippi Longstocking. like all these red-headed heroines from my childhood just coming through on this one awesome woman and her baking.
So we opened with Cake Week. Now I do need to start off and say quite simply that Julia's suit game,
yes,
amazingly on point.
I think it was also camouflage, so she could just blend into the background because it was almost the same shade as the green in the back of the.
You know what I think she was doing?
What?
I think she was doing reconnaissance to go back to Dan and tell him what benches were the ones to go to.
Well, they're now tag
for food.
teaming. I reckon she was going around like camouflaging and like sneakily tasting everything. Like, yes, you need to go to Sardi's tasting.
I wonder if a couple of them actually had to.
Bench, not tent.
I wonder if a couple of them actually had to, like, make new cakes. Because they just disappeared off the bench. Because Julia, blending in with the background, just took them and moved.
No, after last season, basically what the producers have done is told everyone, okay, what we advise you to do is make a mini cake and just leave it on the edge of the... Yeah.
It's the Simpsons, we've got that cake over there for you to destroy. Everyone's going to make their own Dan cake.
Yeah. See, that's what I think happened in the technical with the glaze, is that just everyone had the perfect amount of glaze, but...
Well, I'll maintain that's one of the things that cost Linda was the fact that she spent so much time baking extras for Dan.
Yes.
But it was good because it was decoy so that Dan didn't destroy her actual bakes. So we opened up with, when they got ready to go, and Devon goes, I'm here now. You can't send me home. Don't say that, Devon.
No.
Of course they can send you home, Devon. And then he thought about it and went, actually, no, you can vote. No, on second thoughts, shouldn't have said that. Yeah, you're right, Devon.
Yeah, you're right, Devon.
Don't. Although we will have a chat in a moment, young man. And when we have this chat, young man, you're not going to like it. Anne-Marie, they cut to then, and she's using amaretto because what they had to do was they had to make, the first one was an upside-down fruitcake.
Yep, great.
So
delicious.
Anne-Marie opens up with amaretto. So we're off to the races immediately. Mm-hmm. The tenet,
she's got my vote.
The tenet of baking, of Bake Off worldwide, is booze.
Booze it up.
How much booze can you fit in the cake?
Exactly. And Anne-Marie just did a fine job all show.
Later on.
Bringing in the booze.
Later on, there's more of it again.
She has her own little speakeasy right there under her bench, I bet you.
Now, Wendy starts, she's working with her stuff, and she's mixing all the berries and stuff in the pot. Mm-hmm. And Dan comes over and goes, that doesn't look very... And before he finished it, Wendy just goes, well, molasses isn't a pretty looking thing.
True, Wendy.
Never has a truer word been spoken. Andre, I like the fact that Andre decided to go with a parquet floor.
Oh, yes.
It was lovely. I like to think that every week he's going to build a different element of a house.
Yes, so we started. It's like, this old house.
The biscuits next week, a door.
He's auditioning for Homes on Homes.
Homes on Homes has to be. What I like the idea of, though, is what he's actually doing is surreptitiously, he's going to build, by the end of the season, a larger version of the treehouse that Vandana did.
Yes!
And he's going to make it one bake at a time. And the end of the series, they get to the grand final, and whatever he makes, and they're going to go, that's not really enough. And he's going to go, now put all my bakes together. And it builds a house she could live in.
Yes, and then, to make amends, he goes, my dear friend... Bring your child in. Let him play and frolic in my full-size treehouse.
I do have to say, Vandana did send a photo on Twitter where she did point out that, it was probably cruel, but she did then make the cake for her son for his birthday, so he did actually get to have the treehouse cake. It wasn't just made for the judges and destroyed.
It's like that old, joke that goes on when people turn 18 and whatever, when the parents are like, I'll buy you a car, and they take him out of a morning, there's a fucking Matchbox car sitting in the middle of the road.
Now,
we tricked you.
Now, Timothy was adorable.
I know.
And okay, so when they did his interstitial, so he said that, all the other ones were all these other things. Mm-hmm. They cut to Tim, and I like to think they wanted to get all of his passions into the one shot. So what they did was they got him to stand in front of a sign that was handwritten talking about baking club with a trombone.
Yes!
Playing his trombone with the sign. Now, I know that he started, as I said, they started a baking club, and I know that he plays the trombone. I don't really think that he combines the two that regularly. I don't think he's out the front of the bake sale playing the trombone, trying to lure people in.
Well, it might be while he's baking, he's waiting for things in the oven, pulls out the trombone, has a little whack.
How exactly do you think someone plays the trombone?
They hold it and
has a little whack.
Move their hands up and down while blowing.
He has a whack while he... Okay.
Waiting for one in the oven.
For all those musicians out there listening into this, I'm sorry. I come from a very musical family.
He's related to Grieg,
Related to Grieg, whereas Kristie likes to say felching. So, moving on.
I have to say, that word I have not said for, a lot of episodes, and the person who's been saying it is you. So...
You're just jealous. Anyway.
I'd say suck on that one, but that'd be wrong in that context. And if you don't know what felching is, don't look it up.
Please don't look it up. Devon. So, Again, as I said, I like the fact that he has a combination of teaching and tombstone carving. It does seem a bit like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Why are you carving my name into that nice piece of marble?
Imagine the threats. Now, there's a test. Now, I don't want to discourage anybody in this room, but I've got a slab of granite up the front. And if you do the wrong thing during this exam, I might just start carving. And somebody starts talking, and rather than write their name down later on to take marks off, you just hear ching, 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 ching. What are you doing, sir? Nothing. Ching, ching, ching. Is your name 1 or 2 T's? 2. Got it. Ching, 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 ching. Stay back at lunchtime. Stay back at lunchtime. Why? So what time do I get to leave, sir? Yes. Leave.
You've had a great week at school, haven't you?
Wonderful. Anyway, moving on. Mengling. So they talked about the fact that she makes cakes for her dog. It's so adorable. And they did. And what I loved.
And the little party hat on its head.
The thing is, I don't think it was the dog's birthday. I think they staged a doggy birthday party just to film the fact that she makes dog birthday cakes. I feel sorry for the poor fucking dog,
Why?
Which is now thoroughly confused as to when its birthday is. Humans seem to be giving me birthday parties. Are you trying to age me rapidly? Do you want me out of the house? Is that what you're after?
No, but you have to understand, dogs age 7 human years every year. So technically, it should have 7 birthdays throughout the year to mark each year that it's actually growing older.
I also want to know, do dogs blow out their candles? I can't imagine they would.
If it sneezed, it would.
If it sneezed, it would. But I mean, if the dog sneezes,
you turn it around, it might fart on it.
If the dog, that's a different reaction altogether. If the dog sneezes all over it, though, there's probably a bigger problem, and you may not get to the next birthday cake. So that's probably an issue.
And then you'll be calling on Devon.
To
do a little commemorative plaque. Fido lies here.
But yeah, I mean...
Rest in peace, enjoy your birthday cake.
And just... Well, okay, back on the doggy birthdays, because we're going to get to the show. Who cares? We'll get to the show. This is good. It's a good show, but we'll get to the... This is where we go through and dig deep into our bakers, and Mengling's doggy birthdays deserve a bit more of a dig. So, my question is, if you were having 7 birthdays a year for a dog...
Yes.
Do you have to bring a present every time?
Yeah, it's a birthday.
What sort of present? Is an edible present okay?
Yeah.
Is a chew toy okay? Is a doggy bone okay? Can you buy the same bone 7 times?
Look, if you can buy whatever the fuck you want for that dog, you know why? Because it's the thought that counts. And if you can't afford a present at that time, that dog should just be grateful that you've showed up to support it and wish it a happy birthday. Because you've remembered, unlike my mum when I was 22 years old, who forgot my fucking birthday, and I've gone and called her on the day just to see how she's doing in case she's dropped dead or something. No, she was perfectly fine up in sunny Queensland, enjoying her pool and stuff. I'm like, oh, you doing anything special today, Mum? She's like, no. I'm like, Mum, Is there anything special about today? No. Got to go back to the pool. Of course you do, Mum, because you're retired and stuff. Ooh, whoop-de-doo. So then the next day, I call her. It's my birthday yesterday. Was it? I didn't notice. Of course you didn't, because I'm the middle child. Had therapy. Okay, breathe out.
Kristie works for a lot of stuff on the podcast. It saves a lot of bills. And you get to be her audience therapist.
Thank you.
So anyway, Sachin, dentistry.
Yes.
So the dentist and university professor lecturer at the same time.
Ooh.
So he's very busy. He's a very busy man.
And a very good baker.
Yes. So
and an awesome cricketer too.
So Sachin went with
thanks to the pressure from his parents.
So Sachin went with a chai spice pear upside down cake. So chai's okay. Chai's okay. The spice seemed pretty good. Mengling made apple pecan bourbon.
Yum.
With maple caramel.
Good thinking,
because of course you've got to put some maple in there at some points there. Devon's was mango gingerbread upside down, which was quite nice. Rosemary fig for Anne Marie. They were worried about those figs too. They weren't quite sure how the figgy flavour was.
But it looked very pretty.
Yeah, again, and Andre's said was rhubarb parquet, which rhubarb.
And Sadia did the pistachio and rose and was it what fruit was it?
Pistachio, cardamom, cranberry.
There we go. I knew it because that's right. She said, "Oh, cranberry, little red jewels at the bottom." She said that to Julia. Oh, I'm not calling her Emma. Yes, got one for
done.
me.
You've got the name right.
Oh, thanks, Julia.
Pear and lemon dark chocolate was what Timothy made, and then Tim, Mr. Horton,
made a
triple berry lemon upside down cake.
Triple berry lemon
bear claw. And Wendy did a sticky banana upside down cake. So.
Wendy did a sticky banana.
We got to the judging. So Andre, they said was a beautifully rich cake. The flavour was wonderful.
Figured when I heard her say sticky banana too.
I know. Anne Marie was.
By that I mean penis. Come on, keep
It's
going.
late, ladies and gentlemen.
It is very late.
The ether delivered, but the ether delivered
very
really late. Anne Marie, so the fig flavour was great, which they were worried about, as we said. So they were quite happy. As they said, this wasn't quite what you were hoping for. And later on with the happy hour cake, it really wasn't what you was hoping for. Devon, they said, this wasn't what I expected it to look like, really. However, when Rochelle tasted it, her comment was that it was the best cake that she'd had.
Yes.
So, I mean, the flavour looked pretty good. Now, there's a bit of a theme now. In Great British Bake Off,
we say informal.
Things are informal a lot of the time. However, in Great Canadian Bake Off,
which it's very David Chan, it's all ugly delicious.
Everything is ugly delicious.
And they're cross-promoting your other podcast.
They are indeed. They're cross-promoting Food Nerd Vanity Project with myself and Great Australian Bake Off's own Robert Harwood. So
hi, Robert.
Check us out on iTunes.
I love you, Robert.
Everyone else should like podcasts.
So does every other mother in Australia.
They all do. My mother absolutely adores Robert. Anyway, moving on. So Megan, they said that the texture of hers was amazing. That was really good. Mengling was like, we can really taste the bourbon, which usually goes well on these shows, we find. I think the flavour was really nice. Sachin's, they said, needed a little more baking. It was slightly underbaked.
Yes, blonde.
Always a problem. Now Sadia tried something a bit different. She tried to replace the flour with pistachio. And as they said, the thing was that the dough became quite heavy.
Because it gets oily.
Because of the oil.
Nuts are oily.
Yes, nuts are oily.
It's not good when your nuts are oily.
No. For Timothy, the knife skills, they said, needed work.
Yeah, it kind of looked like...
Butchered. It was really butchered.
Yes.
But they said the flavour was nice, so that's a good thing.
Good work, Timothy.
Now, Tim.
Oh, Tom.
Now, you can tell that he's used to making donuts because there was not a lot of air in the batter.
And he didn't know how to decorate a cake.
It was very dense.
He treated the fruit like sprinkles.
Where's the cake? And I didn't have a lot of time.
I'm sure he just had this plate full of bloody fruit there to go, and he just picked up the cake and dunked it on.
What he had was he had a bowl with cinnamon. Yes. And he's just tossing the cake
through. He's like, oh no, this looks too much like a donut. I better cover it up. Quick. Fruit.
And then Wendy had cold cream and a warm cake, so the cake collapsed.
Yeah, she had a bit of a leak there.
However, ugly delicious.
Ugly delicious.
Ugly delicious. Now, I loved after that first lot of judging, Devon's comment to the camera was, I may be good at this.
And we agree, Devon, we think you may be good at this.
So then they decided for the technical, it was orange chiffon cake.
Ooh, orange chiffon.
Ultra fancy.
It is ultra fancy.
It's ultra fancy. So they had 2 hours to do orange chiffon cake.
Yes, it had candied citrus on top.
We'll come to the candy citrus in a moment because that was really fun. Mm-hmm. So the comment was it has to be light and fluffy like a teacup Pomeranian.
Yes.
Thank you, Julia.
My mum had a Pomeranian.
Did she give it to you for your birthday late?
No, she kept this one, thank goodness, because it was very small and very ditzy. We tried to teach it to roll over and it kept turning around.
It's sort of close.
It's close enough. We go, Tiffany, roll over. And she'd turn around. You're like, no, roll over. And we'd all be showing this dog how to roll over. And then she just
You realise
the
dog was looking at all of you going, what the fuck is wrong with these people? They're all rolling over.
Yeah.
Why are they rolling over? And that's why she's turning around. It's like, I'm out of here. So what I love about the Great Canadian Bake Off is that we talk about it's the nicest version of the nicest show on television, except when it comes to the technical, and they are pricks. So incomplete again. They gave them all the ingredients. There was no real method. They got them to make a French meringue.
But what I like about it too, it's that passive aggressiveness of the anger in the technical, like. Make a candied citrus.
We'll come to that. So the candied citrus, it just said candy citrus. That was all it said. It wasn't even maker. It was candy citrus. That was it. That was the grand instruction. You had.
I also wonder if she's like Canada's best porn star.
Candy citrus. So what we had was they had to make a French meringue. They had to, and again there was instructions like
come climb my Rockies.
There were instructions like add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients.
That's what Candy said.
Then fold through the meringue. It's like okay, sure, that's great instructions. Now Andre decided at this point that he was going to use the Julia Child method, and he's like, I don't know if it works, but this is what I'm doing. Yes, and all I could think about then was the Dan Aykroyd, save the liver, don't throw it away. I cannot stress it anymore, and oh God, it appears to be throbbing. So if you've never seen that SNL sketch, go and look it up. It's one of the best sketches ever. Now, the instructions also said 325 degrees until done. Now, this was a big cake, and that could be any amount of time. It turns out it was an hour.
Wow.
But they didn't tell them that.
No, because, till done.
Now, there are a couple of things that I absolutely loved in this. Again, the technicals often don't have, especially early on. Early on, you don't get a lot of detail about any of the bakers. You literally just, they're all here and one's going home now. So in this one, they only focus on a few things, but one of the things I loved was when Anne-Marie was like looking with a very puzzled look about the tin because it had feet. She's like, what am I going to do? Oh, look, it's got feet. And then she's trying to work out if you turn it over or not. And then Timothy was in a really intense discussion with Dan about the merits of cooling it right side up or cooling it upside down. And he couldn't work it because if I leave it like this, it might collapse. But if I do it like this, it might fall apart. What do I do? And Dan is just looking absolutely worried for Timothy.
Yes.
He's just looking at him like, you're asking the wrong person, first of all. And secondly, if you don't know this sort of shit, we're dead.
No, Dan's just going, when can I eat it?
Dan's just looking for the offcuts.
Yeah.
Now, when Anne-Marie...
He's like, if it falls apart, I win. I get to eat your offcut.
And speaking of falling apart, Anne-Marie turned hers over and the entire bottom just went...
Yeah, as we'd say, the arse fell out of it.
It fell through the rack.
Nothing worse than your ass falls out.
Through the rack. I loved Andre as well because they then had to glaze it. And he's like, the glaze is a mystery.
Every bunt must stand alone. I've made baking orange chiffon.
And it tastes like failure. And I like that Tim, he finished up, looked at it and went, my zest got a little zested. You might have thought he had a zested interest in that.
Oh, dear.
Zing.
You've been sitting on that one.
I have. So when they did the judging, Devon's needed more glaze. Megan's, they said, was a bit too stiff. Now, if you looked at hers, it was goth-like.
It was. It kind of had this kind of
Pale glow.
Yeah, it had this like Gothic architecture vibe to it. Just like the spires coming out of it.
Andre, as was common through this episode, was just very good. Anne-Marie, as they said, she didn't so much candy her citrus as boil it. It was also missing pieces of the cake.
And
I like that Dan might have been in the corner going, I don't know where I don't know. This wasn't me.
While she wasn't looking, he just sabotaged the cake so someone would fall out. Did that fall out? I'll just take that for you.
They said that Sachin's was the best textured. They said that Tim's was unfortunately grainy and the peel was bitter again, proving that he's not really a cake person. He's more inclined to donuts.
Donut cake.
Mengling, they said, had a really nice glaze on hers. Timothy, they said, looked okay, but the cake texture was far too crumbly when you sort of got into it.
Yeah, that's not
Wendy again forgot.
Chiffon crumbles.
Wendy again forgot to candy. No, Wendy forgot to candy her grapefruit. That's a problem. And again, candied fruit, it didn't happen. Sadia's, they said, was again a solid effort, and they really liked her glaze as well. Although again, it was done in strips. And it didn't look. None of them really looked like the demonstration one, but they very rarely do, to be fair. All right, so Timothy came 10th. So Timothy came 10th in this challenge.
He was bottom of the pack.
Wendy came 9th. it was all the revving. That's what the problem was. Wendy came 9th. Megan came 8th. Tim came 7th. Not bad for the Donut Man. 6th for Anne-Marie. 5th for Sadia. 4th for Devon, 3rd for Andre, 2nd for Mengling, and Sachin came 1st.
Well done.
So that was a very, very nice knock there. Nice knock there. What a century.
Yes.
What a century.
Welcome to the MCG. I'm just going to put on this voice that I know is a cricket commentator.
And not a single Canadian understands what the fuck you're doing.
That's all right. What if I do the Wide World sports theme? Do-do-do. Do-do-do.
It's not quite the Wide World of Sports theme. That's actually Sports World, but it's more so Fanfare for the Common Man, which the Canadian audience will know because Fanfare for the Common Man was the theme for the 1976 Montreal Olympic Games.
Oh, there you go. So that ended up on the Wide World of Sports.
And the problem, of course, was that the Montreal Games weren't paid for properly and they were in massive debt and the stadium fell apart. But beyond that, the Canadian Olympics were a great success and we bless you, Canada. Well done. From one Olympic city or not. From one Olympic city or not, who knows.
We're from
to another.
miscellaneous
From miscellaneous Australian city and not at all Sydney. And so let's move on.
Sydney.
Or maybe, or close to
Definitely Sydney.
Definitely, but maybe. Miscellaneous city. Anyway, the Showstopper, because it's late. The birthday cake. So we did a children's birthday cake in the last series of Australian Bake Off.
Oh, wasn't that fun?
So it was delightful. It was amazing. We even
I was disappointed about tonight though.
No bubble gum.
No tipper truck cakes.
No tipper truck cakes.
They obviously took the advice of the woman who invented the tipper truck cake.
So just for some context for our Canadian friends, we've made mention on it before. The Australian Women's Weekly, a very well-regarded, well-known magazine out here. In the 1970s, I believe they put the book out originally.
Late 70s,
early 80s. They put out the Australian Women's Weekly birthday cake book.
Children's birthday cake book.
It is an icon of Australian baking. Every child has had at least one, if not more. I've had about 7.
And they
cakes.
recently did a mini documentary.
Yeah, they did a mini documentary which you can probably find in the ether. It's only like 10 minutes long, I think, at the most. And with the woman who came up with was the editor of the book and came up with most of the recipes. And she's talking about this cake was great and this one was great and this one was great. And she turns over and it's the tip truck cake. And she's like, tip truck cake, bitch of a cake, don't make it. This is the woman who came up with the whole thing, and she's like, we spent hours working on this damn thing, trying to make it sit up, and it just kept on collapsing on its own weight. So go and have a look for that book, first of all. It's an amazing book. Some of the cakes, there's some of the cake images are up on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
The Washing Up.
Please be warned that
Facebook.
Australia is a racist country, and back in the 80s it was even more racist. So there is one very politically incorrect cake in there. It's the gollywog cake.
Is that still in there?
Not anymore. The new one doesn't have it, which is good.
Yep,
but the old one does. So
if
if you find the old one, do apologise.
Yes. All right. Anyway, After apologising on behalf of our nation, let's move on. The Showstopper was 4 hours, 3 tiers. Now, you could make this birthday cake for anybody. I thought personally, bit of a shit concept, because it just allows you to make whatever bloody well 3-tier cake you wanted to.
And I was.
Who are you? We know what I was really stunned with.
What?
Mengling didn't make it for the dog.
She made it for herself, though.
She's got to make 7.
Awesome.
We've established she's got to make 7 birthday cakes a year for that dog. Surely you'd practice one.
Let's start with Mengling's cake, because she made this awesome
lime batter.
Yeah, lime batter.
And even she looked at it and went, "That lime's a little bit wrong."
It's like the 1970s, like, just threw up in her cake.
Now this reminded us of the last series of Great Australian Bake Off. Mm-hmm. The first challenge, to be said, was a children's birthday cake, and Emma, one of the dentists,
made the mistake.
Made a bubblegum cake.
Which, we have our National Treasure Maggie beer judging Great Australian Bake Off, and to feed Maggie bubblegum flavour, you may as well have just gone and pooped on it.
But more importantly, what happened was, and for context, Maggie came over and wanted to try a bit of the batter.
Oh, yeah,
now,
the batter. No,
so
that
it wasn't
was wrong.
Cooked bubblegum cake either. It was batter. And we all knew what it was going to taste like. It's going to be ultra sickly sweet. Mm-hmm. And that's not a thing you want to be doing. And, as she's going to, put a finger... Maggie, don't do that. You're not going to like it at the best of times.
Drinking too much of the verjuice.
Too much of the verjuice. So, Mengling's just that lime was...
But then she said, I really like gold foiling things.
Doesn't she ever?
And I just imagined after they cut away from her just doing it to the berries to her just rolling around on the floor in gold foil. Just golding herself.
I've just got this image now. I know they sort of showed it, or maybe that was a party venue she booked for the dog's party. I'm back at the dog's party. I'm not leaving the dog's party. That cake had a lot of gold on it.
I know what's going to happen when I come home after visiting Mum on the weekend.
All of the animals are going to have birthday cakes.
Yes.
I've got to make 4 fucking birthday cakes.
Well, you've got enough bunt tins.
I do have enough bunt tins. That is true. Anyway, I won't say where I got those from. Moving on. So she made hers was officially it was a blueberry lime naked cake. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of fucking gold on that.
There was.
There's a lot of gold on that for a blueberry lime naked cake. Now, Wendy, I do have to ask a question of Wendy's cake. So Wendy made an Anne of Green Gables cake.
Yes.
Now, what I want to know, was this cross-promotion? Because as we have all been told, this is the home of Canadian television. And I want to know, did the makers of Anne with an E go, if you could just slide a bit of a reference to our TV show in? Greatly appreciated.
Yeah, but then I would have thought that Megan, when she said, schnitzel happens, that she would have had, Schitt's Creek happens, just...
I wonder if Dan's, on the set going, don't mention that other thing. Don't mention that other thing.
My father's project. I just don't want to live in his shadow.
When I'm here, I'm all business.
Yes.
He says, munching on cake. So...
He's like, this is Bake Off Dan.
Andre's was kind of amazing. And he snuck the checkerboard through. They didn't know he was doing it.
No, it was beautiful.
And then when they cut into it, and you just heard Rochelle go, checkerboard!
And Rochelle had the same critique that I did, was that is so elegant.
And I loved Andre's idea, because Andre really took the whole, let's face it, bullshit nature of this challenge to heart. What is it? It's a queen for a day cake. And who are you making this birthday cake for?
Anyone who wants to be a queen for a day.
Anyone who wants to be a queen for a day. And everyone's like, yeah, that's me. Bruno's like, one here. It was cool.
My only disappointment is at the end of it, Rochelle just didn't put the crown on her head. That would have just been cool.
Now Anne-Marie. Okay. Anne-Marie made the most bake-off of bake-off cakes.
Yes.
It was the happy hour cake. So... It was booze and pretzels.
And look, it wasn't finished, but quite frankly, when you get to happy hour, you're not finished.
To be honest with you, it's probably the most accurate depiction of a happy hour ever, because it was booze. It was a couple of different types of booze in there.
Happy hour usually happens straight after work, so you haven't had a chance to do yourself up.
There was stout.
Yes.
There was bourbon.
We know there was stout because her and bloody Dan
were having a go. And there was stout, there was bourbon, there were pretzels, and it wasn't quite finished by the time they got to the end of it, but it is a perfect depiction of the way everyone leaves a happy hour.
It just needed a jaunty tilt, and it would have been fine.
Well, the jaunty tilt was taken care of, but not by her cake. And we'll talk about the jaunty tilt in a minute because there's a young man I'm about to take issue with. Sadia, before we get to that, however, Dan, first of all, got to eat and drink at Anne-Marie's bench. Mm-hmm. So he's already a bit fun when he goes over to Sadia's bench for the cookie buttercream, which he was incredibly amazed by.
I think we've just met, like, Dan's orgasm face.
Cookie buttercream. Mm-hmm. I think so too. All right. Back up, Stanford. This is going to be fun.
I'll just let you go.
Devon. Look, I like you. You're an awesome guy. I can already tell we're going to be fast friends. But matcha. Now, you need to go back to the archives, Canadian people, because you haven't heard this yet, but I've got a bit of a problem with matcha. And by a bit of a problem with matcha, I mean fucking stop making cakes with matcha. I am over matcha. I am sick of seeing matcha. Every second challenge in an Australian TV show has fucking matcha in it. The British started using matcha for every challenge. Now I go to Canada. My nice little respite. It's a break. It's a home away from home. It's a peaceful moment. And what do I see? Matcha.
Because Chris ain't a matcha man.
Matcha.
Chris really isn't a matcha man.
Devon.
He's a matcha man.
Devon, we need to have a conversation about this in the future. But
don't. Just walk away, Devon.
If you produce yuzu next week, so help me.
Oh, please produce yuzu
Don't
next week.
produce yuzu.
Make yuzu in matcha cake or biscuits that are yuzu flavoured with matcha sprinkled on top. In the shape of matcha leaves.
Would you like to just host this show by yourself for the rest of time? Because I may explode.
I want more rants. It would.
I may explode.
Funny.
If it becomes matcha and yuzu, I may explode. All right, Sachin. Now, Sachin's cake is possibly the most North American cake ever. It had graham crackers and s'mores.
And those amazing candles. That was cool.
They could have just put maple syrup over the top for the Canadian element of it.
I will say, I'm glad he explained that they were turning into candles because what he was shaping at first did look like it was for an adult party.
It might have been. So this cake is for the after dark market. It's an after dark birthday.
It's what you do after you go to happy hour. You go, oh, that's an interesting shop. Let's pop in there.
Let's pop in and see there what we can get for our birthday.
Oh,
look, for me personally, as amazing, absolutely amazing as Andre's checkerboard cake was, the cake of the day.
Oh yes,
Megan's Day of the Dead cake.
Oh my god!
I will take a batch order of those, Megan. I will. With the sugar skull was just out of this world.
Because things that are like come out of mold tins usually don't look good, but that looked.
That was
amazing. And because of her ability to ice it and decorate it with such care.
Yeah.
And just such an artistic eye. Like, oh my gosh.
It was incredible.
And the bit of the icing going down the side to look like the wax dripping over the end. Oh, beautiful.
The level of detail on that cake was just top notch.
Do you think they have they grow sugar skulls in the...
That's what they're farming.
Yeah, they have like a pumpkin, like a haunted pumpkin patch and a sugar skull field.
The sugar skull fields.
They just plant little marshmallows at the beginning of
It's perfect. Forget a tractor.
Yeah.
They've actually got the scythe and they're out there reaping sugar skulls.
They have a herd of children of the corn that go out and do the harvesting for them.
They burn someone in effigy. Not the bees.
No, not the bees.
So Timothy challenged the very nature of what he was doing in terms of being on this show and really tempted fate. Why? He went with a chocolate collar. A chocolate collar is a very dangerous prospect.
Sorry, we've just gone from Megan.
I know you've gone from that.
He had the collar thing before, and now we're going to chocolate collars, which is fun.
Anyway. So he did what was called the remains of a phoenix cake, which... Okay, my question to you is, how do you have remains of a phoenix? Because the phoenix is apparently rising again from the ashes. How do you have the remains of something that's come back? There's nothing left.
To me, it sounded like the follow-up to Remains of the Day.
The remains of the phoenix.
What's his name? Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins is just going to come wandering in as a butler.
Might have worked.
Yeah.
And Sadia. Now Sadia's looked amazing, but unfortunately for poor Sadia, it collapsed. And then Julia. Now,
just on Timothy, sorry, do you reckon he's a big Conchita Wurst fan and that's why he's done the
I was waiting for you to make a Conchita reference. I don't think so. But
like a phoenix.
I don't think so. It doesn't really translate to trombone.
The dodgy cake now. Oh no, it's got a brass in there.
Not a trombone.
Really?
No.
How would you know?
We're related to Grieg. Anyway.
Pull the Grieg card.
Now, I need to give Julia some credit here
Yes,
as
Julia.
host. Because what Julia did was Julia managed to do one of the main hosty things on this show. And legitimately, one of the main hosty things on this show. Now, one of the things that hosts do that are
they're
very good
contractually obliged to.
They get very good at talking contestants off the edge of a cliff. They get very good at when something fails, sort of getting them to refocus, adding a bit of humour, adding a bit of lightness, and at the same time
taking out the
getting
tension.
them to go through. And in all seriousness, not to make fun of it, I thought Julia did an amazing job. She got Sadia.
heart broke for
Sadia was
Sadia.
terrified, and you just saw Julia just get over there and go, "Wait, come."
Breathe.
So what are we doing? You know what you're doing, right? We can get this going still. We can still get this done.
Yep.
And she did. She did a great job of it. So kudos, Julia. She did a really good job there.
Absolutely.
So the judging. Poor Tim's cake was raw. Again, donuts don't need quite as long as cakes.
He doesn't know how to bake in an oven. He was waiting to fry it.
It's a problem.
It's like, where's the deep fryer? I need to chuck this in. No.
Megan's was stunning, as we said. They referred to it as the perfect cookies and cream cake. Devon's sponge was dense.
What do you call this?
Dense sponge cake.
What's this stuff on top?
Matcha. And you know what? That's what you get, Devon. I like you. I really like you. But that's what you get for making matcha. Apparently the flavour was good. I don't know. I'll never know. Moving on. I always maintain, by the way, that most matcha cakes taste or look like they would taste like, if you've ever seen that green foam that's sometimes at the bottom of fish tanks, or like plants, which is like the water-saving foam, I maintain that's just what matcha is. It's like water-saving foam. Sadia, so she had to adjust because of the weight issues where everything collapsed. However, the flavour was good, and Rochelle referred to it as a tenacious effort. Yeah. This is not the greatest cake in the world. This is just a tribute. Anne-Marie, now the stout and the pretzels were good. And Rochelle, with the early contender for line of the season in, I don't feel drunk. Now, I want to know, was that in relation to the cake or just in general?
And I don't know if that was a positive thing or if she's like, I don't feel drunk.
Like, I wanted to feel drunk.
Yeah, like...
well, I mean, think about it. Rochelle's got the Canadian.
Yeah.
And also now a fair bit of Australian.
Yeah, she's got no hope.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Work on that. All you need is a bit of Irish in there to top it off, and there's no chance you're ever getting her drunk.
Yeah, no dry July in Australia. For Rochelle, it's like...
Now, Mengling's, they said that it felt festive, but then the green was far too vibrant, which is a nice way of saying that's radioactive.
Like, did you blend Kermit and pop it into a cake?
Yeah, is Kermit gone?
Oh, Kermit, you're in cake form.
Apparently the flavour was great, though. Andre's was absolutely stunning. The sugar work was incredible. Mm-hmm. He used 2 piping techniques.
Yeah.
The choc raspberry was really good. He did the checkerboard. My only question is, did you go too big too soon, Andre? Because now that's what they expect every week.
Well, I am.
Yeah.
My expectations are high, Andre.
Are really high, Andre, so no pressure. Timothy, now, didn't quite work. Now, we talked a lot about, we've had a lot of young bakers on Australian Bake Off. Timothy, and again, it's only one episode and you don't really get a good picture. He feels like a young 19.
He does. I think he's the kind of person that just needs a few more years to temper.
And he's
got the passion and the interest and some of the skills, but they just need more time to develop.
And we've had, again, like Antonio a couple of years ago was 17, but he felt like a mid-20s, late-20s baker in terms of his experience and composure in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it's about just the feel. I don't think it helped standing him in front of a hand-painted sign that looked like it was a 6-year-old with a trombone in his hand. I don't think that helped that image. So, again, we'll see after this episode because he is still there. Now, Wendy went with the polka dots. They didn't even remotely focus on Wendy's polka dots. No. And then they cut the cake open and there were polka dots. You're like, holy shit, when did Wendy do that? They said it was good contrast, needed more filling, however, and less cake. Yep. I like the fact that they told her that her birthday cake needed less cake.
I'm sorry, your cake is too cakey.
Your cake is too cakey. Can you please not make your cake so cakey in the future?
Let's just take some more cake out of this cake, shall we?
So, Andre...
Decake your cake.
Andre was star baker.
I think you've caked on your cake there.
It's too much cake on your cake. So, there's cake in this pie. Anyway, Andre was star baker. That's a fair call.
Absolutely.
Tim Horton Jr. gets to go back to run the family business his way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, right, he sponsored the tent.
Yeah.
Oh, the pavilion. The pavilion. And he said, my only thing is that I need to be on for an episode at least.
Like the idea. Maybe he volunteered as tribute. Remember our thing of the first baker?
Yes.
So we've got a theory that in all the series of Bake Off, because you never really want to see anyone go home in the first episode, they need the one sort of patsy baker who deliberately is there to go home in week one.
Yes.
Maybe Tim Horton Jr. sponsored the show on the agreement
that he was the patsy baker.
I'll be the patsy.
Yeah.
I'll come in, I'll make things look a bit donutty. Baker. I'll make a few things that look donutty so people will be thinking donuts. Yeah. So when they finish the episode, they'll go, that was a really good show. I could do with some donuts. Get me some Timbits right now. Let's go.
I'm surprised that his flamingo shirt wasn't like a bear shirt.
Yeah, before we finish up, we need to talk about that shirt.
Oh, it was magnificent.
You don't see black a lot on television.
No.
But black with the pink flamingos.
Ooh, that was nice.
It was gorgeous, and you could tell that Dan was feeling a little underdressed for the situation.
Yeah, he's kind of like,
can I have that shirt?
Me.
I like the idea though that he might take that shirt now.
Yeah.
He got a wardrobe. He's like, Levy, no, wardrobe, take that shirt. But it's my shirt. I brought it from home. Don't care. Why now? I'm on Schitt's Creek.
Don't you know who my father is?
I like the way, by the way, we're making Dan out to be a massive prima donna when he's clearly not. So that was episode 1.
It was delightful.
It was a lovely episode.
Have you noticed how green the grass is in Canada?
It's ultra green.
Like when you see those paintings like that kids do of green grass and blue skies, like that's what it looks like.
When you see Mengling's cakes and you see the green of her cakes and compare it to the grass, identical.
But she's got, is this too green? Because there's just like this radioactive glow of green coming out of like the grass outside.
No, I can still see. So that was episode 1, and obviously, as I said, as we start to lose people, on one hand it becomes more sad, but on the other hand, we're going to get to do a bit more of a deep dive into some of these people and some of these personalities, and there's a lot of gold in them thar hills.
Oh, I can't wait.
There is so much gold in them thar hills.
Including Jude's sister or cousin.
Yeah, so we're hoping that we're going to get to do...
I mean, Anne-Marie even forgot her sugar.
It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. So hopefully the ether next time when it delivers can deliver a little bit more punctually.
A little earlier.
A little earlier would be lovely because we were hoping that the ether would deliver. Unfortunately, the ether delivered, just for a bit of a spoiler, the ether delivered at about 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
So as we are wrapping this up, it has just ticked over midnight here in Miscellaneous City.
Yes.
Midnight. Miscellaneous City.
It's time for midnight margaritas.
It's time for midnight margaritas, otherwise known as bed. So on that note, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
And we will catch you all for the next episode next week.
Ciao, ciao.